guild, we rise and build. Hearts aligned, the dream fulfilled. Artisans and guilders true, together we create what's new. From roots and soil to stars above, we weave our work with truth and love. Brilliant minds, the hands that care, co-creations everywhere. Dirty global action, we take our stand for impact strong across the land. Time's awareness growing, hearts revealed, we are one. The Gaia Game. Makers, dreamers, voices clear, movement builders drawing near. Every craft, each gifted hand, shapes the future, heals the land. Community shining, we break the mold. Stories of courage and visions bold. Bound by purpose, bright and true. Gaia Guild is me and you. Dirty global action, we take our stand for impact strong across the land. Into awareness growing, hearts revealed, we are one. The Gaia Guild. Step into the circle, light.
I think you should be there.
Yeah, we have another question here, and then we go with the lady just at the very next line.
Hi, I'm Maria Teresa Carrillo. I'm coming from the University for Peace. Costa Rica is a UN-mandated university. I'm very glad to hear you talking about peace building from such a interesting ideas and projects. But then I heard you, almost all of you, talking about the digital and online and offline spaces. So I'm wondering, how do you see education in this line of thoughts that you presented, in terms of more online engagement, more, less same? So I would like to have your thoughts on how education will affect in the future.
Thank you very much for your question. And yeah, as a practice, we'll kind of let some minutes. We can save some minutes that speakers can prepare for their answers. Please, we go on to you first.
Yeah, my name is Dr. Chioma Leslie Ozodimlam. I am the chief executive of a nonprofit organization based in Nigeria. And I am also here for the UNGA high-level engagements. I was invited to the event by a friend that saw it online. Though I did not start the event, but I heard one or two things that we discussed mentioned over there. So, but my question is this, people. So women and youth as leaders for civic engagement and social reform. I'm very much aware that the present youth are on the fast lane. I seem to see most of the engagements we are putting across as not too fast for their liking. That is part of the problems that we are facing on our engagement with the youth. I would like to have a different view, or perhaps to go away from this forum with a different perspective on what to tell the youth, on how to make them understand that you can't make it by being on the fast. You can't, you can actually engage in steps that can change the entire society. You can actually be involved in yourself without expecting something in return, because most times that is always the problem. Okay, I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to work with you, we're going to bring total change for what gets into my pocket. How do we make them understand that you can actually a change maker selflessly without expecting some financial rewards? Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your impressions on this topic, and I think quite much of it this this platform has enabling this to see actually that youth is actually in the game and not in kind of as a fan watching the match, but actually they are the players. They start. I really appreciate this. These commenters that you re-stressed all that actually this should be the milestone of changes in global level. And do you have any particular question for any of our speakers, or that, or it was just kind of impression sharing from your side? Yes, please.
Well, thank you so much for all the panelists. I think that was so inspirational and motivational to all of us. So for the many slides as well, from you are presenting US from the Nordic countries. According to statistics, Nordic countries are the most difficult countries in the world. So, according to the young people living in Nordic countries, is it true that people are opportunities that are, given?
For the question, and also, yeah, just to remind, this part is question and answers. Yes, but you are more than welcome also to comment on the visual presentations that you had, or the talking points, or whatsoever, or the general kind of impression that you have about it. So I guess the speakers are getting themselves ready to address the questions. We have a question here, and I think I saw another. Hand. We have second, yeah, and okay. Let's go with the second, and then I think we still look on want to address something. So
My name is Suki D, and I work for Steve. And my question is for the follow-up on the incredible presentation, and all of you guys. I was doing nothing. Which is just but in the wake of the changes in aid, the dissolution of USA, and the increasing trust of multilateralism and bureaucratic organizations, one of which is the UN, how do you think this trust deficit can be somehow bridged in tandem with building trust in multilateralism again, or is the answer moving towards a divestment of centralizing all this funding and resources organizations, and rather embracing locally led, youth-led organizations and initiatives as a sustainable and more resilient way of moving forward. So learning from the mistakes in restructuring versus to work with an old, especially as someone who works with guys, we always try to figure out what are the best ways to work together as partners, with making collaborative ways to really move towards that.
Question. And now we give the floor to thank you very much. Wisdom between working as a expert. So, how today? This answer is, from my perspective, uh, 7 million of years of human evolution, we're still talking about building the business. So the conclusion is that we have a big problem. Catch wave. And I think, my question was very simple. And think about, building the horizontal bridges, because different nations, cultures, there's different religious, horizontal approach. Sometimes lacking can, some today's example, but in general sense, we don't help the political reality. In the, one example is that today here we discuss about an intercultural dialogue, about inclusive societies, of the North Side of the settlement, etc. But the political reality is totally different because now the covers the migrant and refugee case very clearly, within the nation state and beyond and above. My question to all of you is, how we should all try to link these horizontal bridges and build a vertical elevation of the political reality that could make the real impact on the policy making, but not just on the horizontal level between all of us that, we all agree here about that. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So your question is kind of not dedicated to some of the speaker, but a general one that, yeah. So we would invite all of our speakers to just address it, whoever wants. And yeah, thank you very much for bringing again a very important topic of how we recommend the good and prevent the bad in vertical level. Yes. Now, is there any other question? Yes, please.
Thank you very much. Very interesting presentation. I have one or two questions. At what point you stop being a youth? Then after that, we've also come out and saying the same thing as you're saying now. Thank you.
Please.
And just to, I like your first presentation that says, just waiting to be invited to the table, you beat your table. That's the attitude I want every young people to have. Because every time you are always like, you came in the morning, you are older than when you're in the morning. So we keep growing every now and then. So usually my question to young people is do not try to, how do you call it, elbow not the old people outside this space, but how can you work collaboratively with them? Because your time is here. But then also, how can you build bigger pie? For example, the challenges that our parents face. Imagine the challenge our parents face so many problems. Our grandparents, slavery, taxation. They were running away from my Africa. They were running away from those who were trying to fight them and sell them as slaves. Those challenges compared to the challenges you have today with the era of the AI, where everything is now in the phone, you have better opportunities there as young people. So how can you encourage, for example, using your phone, just not just to to do, maybe to share, fun, but you can use your phone, use AI to actually build better, like much more money. Look at what the founder of Facebook, for example, Meta, We were able to create the biggest media organization in the world without owning any media organization. So how can you advise young people not just to wish away this generation, but what with what God has given you and the intelligence that you have, be better and make this world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are gonna get two final questions from here that I see, and with that we're gonna close the part of the questions, and then I'm gonna invite our distinguished speakers to one by one to address the questions for them. Mr. Alejandro, I would gently ask you. I think we have around we're gonna have like 7 minutes, I think, for responding. So I would really gently ask everyone to just stick so short, please.
Oh yeah, can we get a youth-led planet? Can we get a youth-led planetary proposal that eliminates the adults at whatever age that is deemed fitting?
I don't have any question. I just really want to express my words. All the presentations were really interesting and amazing. Thank you, journalists and Writer Foundation, for the presence of youth in SDGs Roundtable Discussion. Thanks so much.
For discussing this importance. Now I want to welcome our guest speaker to start answering or commenting on the questions. I start by my right hand with Mr. Leclerc. He was the last to be announced by me, so now he's the first to start answering. So positive discrimination. um, thank you. Thank you, and good afternoon once again. I here just have a collection of different questions, and I will try to run through those mostly that are general and concerning. I understand some of the questions are very specific, so I'll leave those and just run through them. So first, I'll double confirm that I get the question correctly, just so I don't answer the wrong question. For example, the one on the scaling model was very specific to the panelists. So I'll talk about the digital online engagement, whether it should be more or less. Let me know if I captured this correctly for the person that asked the question. So the question was, digital online engagement, should it be more or less? Sorry, I have a one sentence representation of your question, so I just make sure that I capture it correctly. So if you think I have the wrong, okay, thank you. Thumbs up. Yeah. So I did. I got the question correctly. So in summary, the question is, the online and digital engagement, should it be more or less? So my response to this is, and I try to say this because I have been, sorry if I take much time, I'm sorry. Because this has been a very frequent question. I get to answer questions like more AI or less AI in everything we do. That's very specific because I have AI background, and oftentimes just yesterday I was asked about in healthcare more AI or less. So this is what I would say. Like every other thing, the goal is not to totally reject any of these. The goal is to have it manifest into what we accept as people and how we can be more productive. If anyone would reflect very easily during the inception of Microsoft, what many people think will stop learning or stop knowing how to spell correctly, or people who write letters with Microsoft Word, for example. Many years back, we know more going to write that. Does not reject, we know it helps us to be better. And that's what we do, looking forward to ways to be better. Over the period of time. So please, I hope I have done justice to this and will run to the next. Like I said, many of these are not specific to me, so I would quickly jump. I think I have a question that says,
at what time do we stop being youth? I don't know if I get that correctly. At what time do we stop being youth? And what is the handover plan? Sorry if I have misrepresented the question, but this my summary of it is correct. Thank you. Um, from our understanding and our scaling foundation, we understand engagement into community impact, which in this way comes through inspiration. Like myself, I try to connect back to my story, how I became inspired from various opportunity I've been exposed to. I see that as a practical invitation of all we get. So when we receive this, it's only natural that we're inspired to. That's why I believe many of the colleagues are here try to take practical actions towards reaching out because the younger generations, youths of tomorrow, when we stop being youths, they naturally hand over. We tend to imitate what we see. That's who we are as humans. We uncontrollably try to imitate the people, role models, the people that see us, people that read about us, people that watch stories about us. So that's my response to that. I'll conclude by saying that practical actions are exemplary. It helps to build the youths of tomorrow. Just that's the takeover plan. So they naturally take over just because they see exemplary people. Lastly, I can take this. I don't know if I get this correctly, but I guess it's from you. How can youth lead nurture proposals? If this is correct. Well, also, like, how can we separate adult controlled planetary governance and everything? Okay, so I might be that because we are people. When we look at ourselves, younger ones, older adolescents, youths, and the older ones, not older ones, see this as one people, connected mainly by time. So I tend to see that quite differently, that we are one, and we may not have to eliminate anyone or any stage of it, because when we're done eliminating, we have to be eliminated because we are also. So I see that I want to describe, and I know another question starts when we start being youth, so I can connect it to youth itself is transient. So youth itself is transient. It's also not only a matter of still, perhaps many of us may not be the ones sitting down here. There will be more inspired people here, and so that's kind of a process. Smooth transition is the response. I think that's best. Smooth transition seems to be similar to my earlier response, which is about people that come before us. These people tend to be more inspired and positively, kind of our representative when we age, rather than being rejected, but we also integrated back to the community. We get to benefit. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Lookman. Now, without any further ado, please go with this.
And to say two questions. One of them was specifically to be held. I have to do it in 2 minutes. And is the question for Governor Yoma from Nigeria? Was it the perspective you had? Was the question how can we help you see this perspective of they can be involved and they can make change, and how to make them believe, or was that the question? Okay. And then the question about the Nordic countries was, yes, we have a very peaceful part of the world, and what are the challenges and opportunities? I would say, as I spoke about these digital tools today, I think digital tools can be understood in many ways. So, in terms of education, for example, this could be specifically e-learning, so doing a course online. But digital tools are what's in the name. They're tools. We should be using them as tools if we want to do greater things. So we have actually done an upgrade in this sense. And I think in terms of the Nordic countries, what we're seeing right now is that yes, there is a distinguished difference between Nordic countries and the lives of the rest of the world, but also a lot of people, especially youth, are living two lives right now. This online life, it does not really have country borders or anything like that. So when we focus on that, we see that these challenges are actually occurring in many different parts of the world. So that's why we see a lot of need for personal support, for mentorship, or personal guidance. And I would say in the Nordic countries, because they're the part of this connected global online world with one country basically of the internet, they share this struggle with other youth around the world. And the opportunities lie in the tools that we use to help the youth with their individual and their personal growth and their personal support. And I would say, how can we help make youth see this change that they can make of all the youth that are here today, both as members and also training. We all are starting to stay listening. So this is a big step, showing that youth can do this, showing that we want to do this. This can be fun, this can be great. I think sometimes we underestimate how much youth are spending time thinking when on the internet. There's a lot of thinking going on. So it's helping them, just showing what's possible, showing opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you very much for asking these questions. Yes, please.
All right, I think I will touch a little bit on a few different questions. So first on digital education or introducing like more digital opportunities in education. This is actually more of a personal story. I worked extensively with VR, so virtual reality, augmented reality, which has been something that really evolved in the academic environment lately, and the opportunities that opens, right? There are people who work in geology who are able to see and touch and be in an environment that they would otherwise not be able to go in, right? First of all, in countries where they wouldn't be able to enter. But second, in places, in locations that would be physically risky, they get to study these rocks and these minerals because of mediums such as VR. We also get to reinterpret history. The military, right? They get to exercise with much more of a realistic sense when they do so in VR. So I think there has been a pushback towards introducing more digitalization into education. I would say digitalization is going to change the practicality of education to an extent that maybe like we don't even understand at the moment. We're able to feel things, to see things, to hear things in a realistic way that would otherwise be impossible. So all for more digitalization, but of course that does not replace in-person interaction, because then we would go back to what part of my presentation was about, which was the atomization of society when we're not connecting one with the other. The second thing is about making a connection up or being able to shape policy, not just work at a local level. I think there's two things to say here. Policy gets solved when it's painful. So policymaker address the things that are most painful to them. Just like half an hour or an hour ago, we were talking over lunch about how in NATO, when you get to speak to like a star general, right? That means there's something like there's a fire there, right? Because they don't have time to talk about a billion things that are going on. So you know that if they're interested in like space, let's say, there's something there, there's like a problem, there's a fire, there's something that needs to be solved. So similarly, I think policy shaping can be done at a lower level by having youth basically light a fire under the issues that they find important. There's also much more opportunity to shape policy through things like think tanks, right? These people who work in policy, many of them don't have the time to do their own research. They contract people out, they use academia. So I think there's a very tight connection between shaping policy and creating and researching and creating papers and doing all of that. So I would say there's like in many ways the connection up is made through having action being done at a local level or at a smaller level. And on the youth-led, maybe planetary order, here basically both on our planet or on a future planet that would possibly, that people would possibly live in. I think it's important to say, would we like to live in a planet where at a certain age you get literally retired from society? Right now, we do have to a certain extent this, we've kind of all agreed that at some point you get again retired from society, less so from the political life, but you never get your vote taken away. We've heard this more and more recently, that like there should at some point maybe people should not have the same um, I don't know, the same power as they have in their youth for many reasons, because there's a generational divide and so on and so forth. So to your point about on another planet, with this work, with a youth-led order where at a certain age you separate everyone else, I would say, I mean, everyone can have a perspective on this. I would say probably not, because imagine living in a place where at some point this is the end of your power. But, the next generations can have their own opinion about this. I think this is a very Kantian philosophy opinion to generalize and could would everyone be happier if we did this? And I mean, I think it might be in gas route, but that really depends on. Yeah.
We cannot say what it's true. Let's go now with answers from the other panel.
Hi. Firstly, we weren't expecting this many questions, so we're not that prepared. I will try to answer it to the best of my ability. So for the scaling question, while we were interviewing, one of the people that we interviewed, Ali Mustafa, he's the founder of the International Youth Conference. He suggested that youth need a space in the UN. They need a specialized agency such as UN Women or UNICEF. So that is the kind of structural model we need. It would bring together existing initiatives and give them an institutional home and scale youth participation to the system-wide level. So that's the first question. And for the second question, I don't see the lady that asked the question. I will still answer it. She asked about reform versus restructuring. So should we try changing the system or reform completely? That kind of pulled me into a dilemma, because I don't have the straight up answer to that. I would say, on one hand, there's existing multilateral system that is often described as broken, but as seen with the examples that we gave, there are examples that shows us that this system does work. Maybe it works slowly, maybe it's not fast enough, but it does work. So, what our paper suggests is we need to rebuild the system from within. It's about system-wide transformation from within, as I said. So I say, rather than abandoning the system, maybe we should restructure it from inside out. I also don't think that currently it's not very realistic to just reform completely. So we should try to better the system that we have existing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your answers. Let's go on.
Only thing is, I guess it was your question about making tables and building tables. The reason why I added that into my speech was because of the vision that you get in the countries that you go to. I lived in 6 different countries and I always face different problems not being invited to some places. But I realized if I'm open and if I'm inviting more people or any person, it will create better spaces, and that division will hopefully disappear at some point. So also about old people and young people division, I learned a lot from you, not only you, but everyone here today. And we have a lot to learn from your experiences. So it is just a great opportunity for a young person like me and my colleagues here today to listen to your experience and add it to our path in the future. So it's never making you guys left out. For sure, I would never do it as a young leader, and I'm sure none of the leaders would do that because you are the foundation of
our existence today here. So thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate this short but to the point answers by all of our distinguished speakers. I'm not really sure whether our audience is fully satisfied with answers, but I hope that but I hope that all of us acknowledge that having a special session on you should be from now on a good tradition of Journalists and Writers Foundation. I hope we acknowledge this and we could make it the best to do this. And yeah, lastly, as I was kind of reminding them of the time and saying you only got 4 minutes to save the world, I hope that the next year when we convey again, we would say, yeah, we did save the world. Thank you very much. And I hope to see you in global opportunities.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for our young people coming from all over the world. And also thank you for staying with us all day. Truly appreciate it. But of course, I'd like to get a round of applause on global partners. Can we give them that? Because without their support, this couldn't be possible. And without this program will be meaningful. So, audience, I'm so grateful that you are here with us. But it's important that young people, their voice matter. So you hear it, and then you show that you are interested in what they're doing, and you're supporting them, encouraging them. And that's what we do. It's the like as I said before, we emphasize on youth empowerment. And we have really beautiful young interns. We have Edith from Canada. We have Zena from New York. We have Dylan from New Jersey. So they have been interning with us for the last few months, and they have been so instrumental in putting this program together. But not only putting this together, Edith and Iran, they conducted this research. They interviewed, professionals at UN. They also did some interviews in the field by Brian Park. It was so challenging, right? And I think of my answers to questions. And also, I'd like to reappreciate, my people from Romania, and, Lovina from Romania, and from Denmark, and another country that I'm from Bulgaria, something to, so this is the end of that. Of course, now we have the, I would like to invite our global partners. We would like to listen. So we have another advice. All right. I would like to invite
I guess I don't feel that project. Okay. That's perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Lovina. Can you please thank you. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Mustafa Gülüzar. Next, we'd like to really push back with that. I'm going to I think that should be very fulfilling to connect back to the Lord. Good. Thank you so much. Now, I would like to welcome Mr. Juma. Mr. Juma to present the plaque to Dr. Lukman Smaila.
Look at me, please.
All right, now we have another very special presentation. To present the talk to Ms. Zainab Selma Binat, I've now invited Mr. Jeffy Reading to present the talk to her brother. All right, we have another very special presentation to give the talk to David Sayamas. I'll be the my colleague Jim Lincoln. Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
A little bit closer, please.
All right, for our last part presentation, I have to present Ms. Kaya. I would like to call Chivas. He's a human rights and migration policy expert from Lithuania. So this is a testament that migration is positive, right? It contributes to Lithuanian, society. So, dear guests, thank you so much. So, this is the end of the program today. For our international guests, I just want to remind you that we will have one tour. So, we have to be at Pier 16 nearby Brooklyn Bridge. It's at 3 o'clock. So, 3 to 3:30 we'll be talking. And then if you are at the place like 3:30, that means you will dismiss it. All right, so we still have some like sandwiches that you would like to take with you, please take. If not, that's okay. And so we would like to see you tomorrow at the ACD's Conference 2025. We have a great lineup of speakers tomorrow. Hope to see you at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Wonderful visit. Oh, yes. So we want to follow,
Yeah. And
It's my colleagues could please call me and part
Everybody was scared to see you. 3, 2, 1. And give me Hold on. Everybody. All right, so here we are. I don't know if I could take two calls at one time. Let me practice. Let's see.